it is Election Day in Tennessee tomorrow, a special election for Tennessee's 7th congressional district. This is a heavily Republican district, so why are Republicans having to spend so much money there? CNN chief data analyst Harry Enten is here with the details. When I say this is a Republican district, Harry, how Republican?
It is a ruby red Republican district, John Berman. What are we talking about? Well, why don't we just take a look at the past 3 presidential elections in the great state of Tennessee, in the 7th district, in that great state. Look at Trump's margins. In 2016, he won it by 17 points. 2020, 15 points. And then in 2024, Johnny B, takes the cake here. We get Donald Trump winning by 22 points. That's why I say even a close GOP win tomorrow is a bad sign for them, because what we're dealing with is a district that all 3 times that Donald Trump was on the ballot in the general election, he won it by double digits. And last time, he broke the 20-point margin barrier.
I would say if you had to look at the congressional map, any district that Donald Trump won by 22 points, you would say, you know, you've got like nearly a 100% chance of winning if you're running for Congress there. But what are the prediction markets saying right now?
Yeah, what are we talking about in terms of the prediction market odds? Look, the Democrat has a 15% chance of winning in that race, okay? A 15% chance, which ain't nothing in a district that Donald Trump won by 22 points. But here, I think, is the key nugget on this side of the ledger, and that is a GOP win by under 10 points. There's a 68% chance of that. So there is a more than 2/3 chance that the Republican candidate, yes, they win, but they win by a significantly lower margin than Donald Trump. We're talking about double digits, smaller. We're talking about a huge shift to the left. We're talking about, when you add these two together, we're talking about a more than 80% chance that there is a clear double-digit shift to the left, and a 15% chance the Democrat actually wins in a district that Donald Trump won by 22 points. That just shows you how bad the environment is for Republicans right now, that the Democrat has any sort of a chance in this district.
Talk to me about what the special election has been showing so far.
Yeah, okay, so you see this and you say, okay, this might just be a one-off in Tennessee. It's a December special election. But get this, 2025 House special elections. Dems outran Kamala Harris. We've had 5 so far. Arizona 7, Dem outran Kamala Harris. Florida 1, Dem outran Kamala Harris. Florida 6, Dem outran Kamala Harris. Texas 18, Dem outran Kamala Harris. And in the suburbs of Washington, D.C., in Virginia 11, the Dem outran Kamala Harris. And on average so far, the Democrats have been outrunning Kamala Harris's margin by over 15 points. So what the prediction market suggests what happened in Tennessee is not something that's happening in isolation. It is happening all over the congressional map.
Okay, so when you see something like this, what does history tell us about what ultimately happens?
Okay, so you see these and you say, special elections, what do they matter? Well, take a look to the midterm that happens down the line. You go all the way back since over 20 years ago. What are we talking about? Special elections and midterm results. When a party outperformed in special elections since 2005, 5 out of 5 times they went on to win the House of Representatives in the next midterm. So what's happening, what's likely to happen tomorrow in Tennessee, what has happened across the congressional map is likely not to stay in 2025, is likely to push forward and be very good news for Democrats come 2026.
Watch these margins tomorrow night. Republicans are a little bit jittery. Harry Enten, great to see you this morning.
To see you.
Thank you very much.
So you just heard my interview with Democrat Afton Bain, who is suddenly in that high-stakes House race. But do Democrats really have a chance to flip that deep red Tennessee seat? And what about President Trump? Why, with everything else going on, has he set his sights on strong-arming Indiana Republicans? My panel is back to answer those questions. So first on Afton Bain, I asked her about would she vote to keep the government open. She didn't exactly say. She didn't say. She said she'd take into consideration her constituents' concerns. Asked if she thought ICE should be abolished. She's showing up at the AOC tomorrow at a tele-rally. She wouldn't say directly, wouldn't say if she would vote for Hakeem Jeffries as speaker. She's leaned very hard on the issues of affordability. It just speaks to the fine line she has to walk at this critical moment.
Yeah, so she's pro-affordability, that's what I take.
Right.
But unwilling to really express opinions on other things. And yet, as you say, having AOC come in to appear with her, if she's trying to go for turnout of Democrats, seems to me she needs to be a little more forthright herself. And if she's trying to walk a line to attract independent-minded and maybe some Republican voters, she needs to speak out more, it seems to me. If for her to win this race would be a surprise. The fact that we're talking about the possibility she could win this race is a surprise, and whatever happens on Tuesday, a warning sign for Republicans.
Yeah, I was curious if she was going to dive into, she has a progressive past, if she would really dive into it, embrace it, and say, this is who I am, I'm going to fight for this, because this is where the politics are. This is where she sees her district at this moment. Especially since this is who she's appearing with, or she has appeared. These Democrats have helped her in this race so far. Al Gore, she mentioned, coming tomorrow as part of that tele-rally. Pramila Jayapal, who's the leader of the one of the leaders, past leader of the Congressional Progressive Caucus, appearing with Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez. And then Kamala Harris was out there recently, too, on a Get Out the Vote rally. These are people that not necessarily you'd consider, moderates.
Yeah. I think she's trying to do two things. On one hand, she is trying to give the appearance that she will, and I think it's genuine. She wants to show voters, particularly in those rural areas, that she is prepared to be a congresswoman for all of her constituents, which means even if she's a progressive member of the state house, she wants them to believe that she will be open-minded and listen to their concerns and be prepared to moderate her stances if that's what the district is reflecting. But on the other hand, she has an election she's trying to win on Tuesday, which is why she's having all these surrogates from progressive to more, moderate establishment Democrats to help get out the vote, because I do think their polling must be showing them that it's close enough that she could actually pull this out if Democrats turn out.
Yeah, and that's the big thing, because Republicans both are spending tons of money, both sides, in this final stretch. And Democrats really hope to ride their wave of momentum, which we've seen in special elections. And this year, if you look at the 2024 House margin versus this special election margin, if you compare apples to apples, those same districts, how they did last cycle versus the special elections this cycle, Democrats are doing better in almost in every single race by double digits, significantly improving their performance from the year before.
And I think this tells us what a godsend this affordability question is because this race encapsulates the dilemma that Democrats have. They know they need their base to come out, as you said, in these elections, but they need to talk to a much wider cohort of voters. Now, the question this election poses is whether affordability is such a powerful argument that it can, overcome some of the suspicions more moderate voters have about these Democrats, and does it diffuse the normal MAGA attack lines, like this person's, very left-wing, they were for defund the police, etc., etc. Is affordability such a powerful force that it can supersede all of this?
We talked about redistricting, or we're going to talk about redistricting. There's a little warning flag about redistricting here. This is a district that was created by Republicans in 2022 to be a safe Republican district.
It's chopped up. Yeah.
They chopped up Nashville into 3 different congressional districts in order to make it so. That's exactly what they're doing in states like Texas. And the warning sign is, by diluting these Republican districts, will they really run a risk of losing some seats that they thought were safe Republican seats?
It's such a good point, because it's actually exactly what's happening in Indiana right now.